Okay. Oops, I'm late. It's 10:01. All right, sorry about that. Hey Tim, how's it going? Honk honk, hello. Hey Max, how's it going? Entertainment television. Off to Hawaii. Hey Neil, how's it going? How's everybody today? How's the audio? Is it synced up with the video and all that reasonably well? Hey Josh. What do you guys think of my new shirt? My sister got it for me. Hey Sean. Okay, I'm again as usual. I'll wait a while before I kick off the timer, just because I like there to be enough people here that, as long as I don't go too much over, I'm okay. Pop, 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 pop. Hey Walker, if I consider doing any. Thanks, Josh. I don't. I'm not a. Thanks, Max. As to the history video, Walker, yeah, it's something I might consider, to be honest. Um, I'm just not a history guy. I don't really know. I mean, I know a little bit just because, I'm somewhat college educated and all that kind of thing. Um, so, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Yeah, that could be an interesting thing because there are little tidbits of history that I do find fascinating. Um, like there's this guy whose channel I like to watch now and again. It's like History Civilis or something like that. And he does a lot of stuff on ancient Rome. And yeah, like he did this one. I think it's called the longest year or something like that. And it's to do with it was when Caesar was um, being Caesar, right? Um, I think he was already dictator for life by that point, I think. Um, but it had to do with the calendar and how he ended up changing the calendar to make it more effective, by having consulted with a bunch of Egyptian astrologers, or astronomers, I guess I should say. Anyway, it's pretty interesting stuff. So I know I might do some weird stuff around that kind of thing or whatever, or I don't know. Um, anyway, let me catch up with the comments here. Toot, 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 toot. And thanks, Neil. Hey, NK, how's it going? Hey, Alan, how's it going? PDT. Okay, you're welcome, TDD. I'm glad you found the channel. Well, if you can't hang out too much tonight, that's fine. Just keep an eye open, and I have them every other weekend. So maybe you could hang out with us sometime in the future, or you could try to hang out a little bit now tonight. I don't know, whatever. Entertainment. My beard's eyes. That's funny. Oh, you know about History Civilis, Max? Yeah, that's a good channel, isn't it? Hey, yeah, that's a cool name. Yeah, hey, yeah. Oh, I think I have seen some of Told in Stone too. That they do like stuff on like buildings and monoliths and masonry and that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. Oh, the vape sounds. Yeah, I gave up nicotine a while back. Actually, I guess it was about the start of the pandemic, actually. Um, which I suppose that had something to do with it. Maybe, I don't know. Basically, really what happened is I just got tired of being addicted to nicotine. I mean, I liked the high of it, and I had stopped smoking, obviously, to eliminate the carcinogenic combustibles. So I mean, but you're still addicted to nicotine. But yeah, actually, what kind of the last straw was, I ended up continually for a period of time getting brought out of my meditations because it's like, oh, I got to go get some nicotine. And it's like, what the hell, man? Just, I don't know, whatever. It just kind of reached a thing, and I just went, I'm tired of this. I have to get out of it. So there you go. Da, 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 da. Um, hey, Island of Bermuda. Wow. Hey, I think I saw a thing about, I think it's Bermuda. Is Do you guys have like this like island-wide water collection system? Is that in Bermuda? I think I saw it was some island I think that was down in that sort of, Caribbean. I'm not sure how to say it. Um, anyway, yeah, all excellent. Yeah, okay. Hey Tim, I'm doing okay. What's been new going on for me? Just trying to, I'm always behind on stuff that I need to do. A lot of it's to do with the stuff around the house and, trying to help my dad with other things. And I've never been good at managing my time. I get distracted and I start doing things like, oh crap, I was supposed to do that other thing. And then I have to go. Yeah. So yeah, that's all it's been lately. I don't know. Although, yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything significant that's going on. Oh, we had a tree fall over in our front yard. Um, so I've been having to deal with that. So it's like I cut up most of it, with the little chainsaw thing, and I got it off the walk. And but what we've been doing is we have two green bins. They're pretty big, and so I just keep filling them up for the past couple of weeks, and it'll probably take me like 2 or 3 more weeks. I just cut it up and then stuff as much as I can into the green bins, and so we still have this big pile of dead tree in our front yard that, yeah, like I said, in a couple of weeks it'll be gone, but yeah, it is what it is. So how's that for something new going on? Um, yeah, George, it is. It's a good thing to be nicotine free. Hey, Brian, how's it going, man? The Old English Bulldog, Miss Fergie, and Theodore. Right on. Yeah, if you can not, I mean, like I said, nicotine can be kind of an interesting sort of stimulant. Sort of, it's good, can do interesting, good things for your head. But the price you pay for that addiction is just, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, if stay off it. Hello from not Seoul but Tokyo this time. Oh, hey Matt, are you on a pleasure trip or a business trip or? Yeah, thanks for letting me know, Mike. That's yeah. All right, I thought I had seen something about that. That's a really cool thing, though. I mean, what a clever way of, dealing with an issue. I think that's pretty cool. The thing is that I think we're all going to have to start doing stuff like that, though, man. I mean, as warm as it's getting now. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. Tim. Oh wow. I didn't even realize there was any kind of weather like that up there, man. Well, I hope I hope it just stays dramatic and entertaining and not damaging and frightening. Wow. Finding out in your 40s, hey Matt, that's crazy. 3 interesting things about San Fran that we might not know. Wow, I don't know. Let me think about that for a minute. Um, I don't know. I'm not one for that kind of weird local lore. Um, oh, here's one that I find when I was first living in San Francisco. It had a law such that you could be nude publicly. You could just walk around naked. The only rule was that if you were going to use any public furniture like benches and stuff like that, um, then you had to have a towel that you took with you to, so that you sat on your towel as opposed to putting your dirty butt on the on the bench. But it was really funny. There was times that I used to like to go on weekends and go walk around and people watch. And one of the places I used to like to go down to was sometimes it gets called the UN Mall. It's over by where City Hall is, and then there's a UN building down there, and there's this big sort of quad area. Um, and anyway, there was this one dude. He was this middle-aged guy, a bit like me in the sense that his head was balding, although he didn't have a long hair and beard or anything like that. And he's a bit thin like I am, as far as not being a thick, big guy or anything like that. But he had a kind of a bit of a, well, more than a bit. He had a beer gut, which so he's a skinny guy with a beer gut. And he'd walk around there naked all the time. But here's the thing about it, that he was really happy to walk around naked, is the man was hung. I mean, like porn star hung. I mean, and he was just walking around, burp, 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 burp. He was just king of the world, man. Holy mackerel. Yeah, the law got changed just a few years ago, which really disappointed me. I mean, not that I was ever really going to take advantage of it, because I'm not. I mean, I can be a little bit of a weirdball and kind of out there, but I don't know that I'd ever really want to walk around town naked. But I liked the idea that if I chose to, right, that I could, and it just seems, I don't know, like it's just naked bodies, man. We need to figure out a way of, becoming less uptight about that sort of thing. Anyway, let me see if I can catch back up to comments here. Okay, here we go, Josh. Okay, Oh, wow, all right, Tim. Self-retreat. Oh, okay, right on. Well, I hope you can get what you need to get done, Matt, and maybe not, maybe have it not be too horrible of an experience for you. Maybe it'll even be a good experience. Have I seen the new Beverly Hills Cop movie? I don't know. No, I haven't. I didn't even know they were going to make one. See, I'm kind of out of touch with that kind of stuff. Okay, there's the ad thing is about to happen in 49 seconds or 45, 44, like that. So those of you who get hit with ads will get hit with an ad. So you may want to turn your volume down or something like that, because you know how crappy they get with the blasting your ears. Anyway. I liked Beverly Hills Cop back in the day, I haven't ever rewatched it or anything, but I was, in the 80s, I was born in 65, so I was 15 to, I guess, 25, through the 80s, which is, kind of a cool time to have been around during that particular time period, but I really enjoyed it back then. On the nude thing on San Francisco, um, there's a running thing, it's not a marathon, it's not even anywhere near that long. It's probably barely 7 miles. San Francisco's like only 49 square miles, but it's called the Bay to Breakers, and that it runs from the bay side of the city to the ocean side of the city. And part of it is people doing serious long distance running, and part of it is people getting out and using it as an excuse to party on a Sunday. I think it's on Sunday. I'm pretty sure, but there's some people that turn it into, or they used to. I haven't looked at it in a few years, but it used to be a bit of a party scene, and there'd be some people that would, get all dressed up in ridiculous costumes and stuff like that, and then some people would just be flat out naked and doing it, like streaking and that kind of thing. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of society being kind of free and unhung up like that, But well, maybe I'm just too much of a, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what am I really. I mean, sometimes I think I'm a bit of a hippie, but I also have a bit of a punk rock nature, So I don't know what you call that blend. Counterculture, I suppose. Anyway, at least I'm getting behind on the comments again. Okay, around 2013, I talked about. Jeremy vibes. Yeah, because of this. What is this crap? I wish it would just fucking. I thought about just like buzzing it, you know what I mean? Just so it look like it was just bald. But then it would just grow back and be all spiky, and I'd have to just keep buzzing it, you know? So I mean, it's just like, so do I want to have ridiculous, wispy, spiky nonsense, or do I? I don't know. I just don't do anything with it. I don't know. I wish it would just frickin' fall out already. But sorry if it creeps you out too much, their entertainment. So wait, so you had when you lived in San Francisco. Yeah. Sorry about that, Tim. Yeah, man. Well, weird is good, man, in my mind, you know. Oh, thanks for letting me know, man. That would be a bad thing for me to not. Okay, oopsie daisy. What am I doing? Let me go to here. Let me go to here and let me click that. All right, now I can put that there. All right, there we go. Thanks, yeah. All right, sure. About the whole Van Ness thing. Yeah, there's a big change there, isn't there? Right. Yeah, all of downtown up to Van Ness is just flat and nothing, right? You know? Right. Ever, right? Okay. Do I remember a TV show called Sequest? Oh, I don't know that it's okay. So here's the thing. There was a show. Now, is that the one that's kind of a spoof on Hanna-Barbera stuff, or is that the actual serious one, Sequest? Because there was one thing that used to be on. I think it was on that. Was it on Cartoon Network or something like that, or I can't remember where I saw it, but it was someplace where they kind of frequently showed like adult-oriented, cartoons. And there was a thing where they did this, and it had, oh, I can't think of his name now. All of a sudden, it just left my head. The guy that played Ponch on Chips back in the day. Man, I can't think of his name, but he does the voiceover for one of the characters, and so I don't know if that's the one you're talking about. I dig that one. But I never saw. If that's not the one, then yeah, no, I never saw it. Wow. Okay, those cheap tourist maps are really screwed up. Because that's not a. Man, they're doing ads again. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all jumping at it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see what happens. There's a button I can click here. It says I can skip it. So I skipped it. There we go. So, pop, 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 pop. YouTube doesn't want me to skip ads, man. They make it like they just, well, whatever. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Maybe I have to go back into the settings and just unmonetize it. Eric Estrada. Thanks, Brian. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Oh, I I do know about that show. I think I might have even seen an episode or two. It wasn't anything that because when you said about the Roy Scheider being in it, that's the thing that brought a weird little memory thing just popped back into my head. Yeah, it wasn't anything that I'm terribly familiar with, but I do remember. I think one of my friends liked it or something, and I was over at his place drinking beers or something like that, and we were watching it. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. That whole era of sci-fi is kind of appealing to me. Well, it would be, right. I was, my late 20s into my early 30s, right? So, man, you know the theme. That's funny. Matt, what that makes me think of is when I was a kid, um, my parents didn't have that big of a record collection, and but among the few records my dad had, he was a big Isaac Hayes fan, and so he had the soundtrack for Shaft, and I really like that as a pretty cool thing. And if you haven't heard it, go check it out. It's really well. Isaac Hayes in general is pretty. I mean, it's that early '70s, funky whatever it is, man. Um, but so I knew the soundtrack to Shaft really well because I used to listen to it a bunch as a kid, but I never had seen the movie until I was like late teens, early adulthood, something like that. And it was strange to actually now see the movie and have the music be there. And it was like, wow, it's kind of a trip. It won an Emmy. Wow. Hey, Pavel. Welcome aboard, man. I don't want to get into thinking about the problem with homeless if you don't mind tonight, entertainment. Just because, man, I mean, it's a really tough issue, especially in here in California and a lot of different places. And yeah, I don't know. We're not very good at, dealing with ourselves. It's like, how can a society consider itself civilized when it allows so many of our members to just become, broken, displaced, forgotten, you know? Yeah, they were horrifically bad, huh? Oh, wow. Well, is it too bad? Is it bad enough that you could watch it and just enjoy the badness of it? You know how sometimes something's so awful that you can just go, man, that's hilarious. Or is it just bad and you're just going, nah, this just sucks. Tim, I didn't watch any of the Olympics really. Um, oh no, the one thing I did watch was there was this. It was one of the relays, and it's the one where Femke Bowles came in from behind and just stormed down the track. She's pretty impressive. I've seen a few things of her running. Yeah, she's pretty impressive. So I did see that, but there's probably a couple of other clips because I don't really watch TV. I mostly watch either streaming nonsense or I shouldn't say nonsense, just streaming stuff. My dad lets me use his logins to watch stuff on, I guess it's Disney Plus or whatever. So it has like Hulu and Disney and all the Marvel stuff and like that kind of stuff. But otherwise, I watch a lot of YouTube. You know what I mean? Because I consume a lot of ASMR. Um, I actually get a lot of. I mean, I read news, but the news that I watch is a lot of the times from straight from YouTube because there's so many news outlets and there's a lot of just different people with different perspectives that you can get. People who aren't big company oriented people that um, I don't know. So I get I consume a lot of news. So mostly, actually, yeah. I don't know. I shouldn't. I'm not an expert on anything, but I get fascinated by little things here and there, and so um, yeah. I heard there was quite a bit of controversy about that opening ceremony, wasn't there? But the whole Bacchus thing was misinterpreted as having been the Last Supper or whatever. I thought the way that they did their apology for that was silly. They should have just said, "No, you're wrong. That's not what it is." They shouldn't have been too soft pedally, back pedally, or maybe it wasn't so much back pedally, but kind of contrite and it's like, no, you got it wrong, man. They should have left it at that. Anyway, here I'm getting behind on the comments again. Let me scroll up here a bit. Well, I could see that. The truth is we have the resources to have good safety nets. It's just they're just not marshaled appropriately. Oh, that's too bad, Tim. Eh. Cool moments, but not enough to watch it, yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Emily. I appreciate the compliment. And, I'm glad you made it to the live stream. Snakes on a plane. I didn't see that. Just something about that made me just go, that's going to be too ridiculous for my taste. You know what I mean? Like, people should make whatever movie they want to make. But, like, for example, I'm not a big fan of, what's his name? Nielsen something. He's the guy that did Airplane and that kind of, the spoofy Airplane, not the ones about, I mean, he was spoofing the Airplane movies. Yeah, that kind of stuff just doesn't work for me. I don't know. It's like Mel Brooks. It's like, when I was a kid, I really, really liked Blazing Saddles, but it doesn't really do it for me now. Oh, wow. Heath, that is super generous, man. I appreciate that, and I'm glad you like the videos. Holy mackerel, I'm going to click that. That's really, really groovy, man. Thank you. I mean, I'm always, I don't know, I know I say that all the time, but I never quite know exactly how to respond. It's like I'm like one of those people that I'm never really sure how to respond to compliments in person. You know what I mean? I get kind of, I don't know, I don't have the best social skills sometimes. I mean, this is pretty easy for me because I'm just sitting in my own house, being relaxed and doing whatever. But, and I can talk to a bunch of people. It's really just, low stress, sort of weird, casual situation, isn't it? Okay, where am I at here? Oh, sorry to hear that, Tim. I've had that kind of experience with the Olympics before. I don't know whether it's because I get kind of some screwed up expectation that doesn't get met, maybe, or I'm never quite sure what happens. But some Olympics I really enjoy, and other Olympics are kind of, I know what you mean. Maybe it's a similar experience between the two of us. I don't know. Hot Rod. I don't know that I've seen that one. Oh, okay. I'll have to keep my. Oh, I was bringing up Mel Brooks because there's another reason I want to bring it up. However, but I still do like Young Frankenstein. Um, you know what I mean? So it's like it's weird how some things kind of I'm not sure how to. Like there's a lot of Lucille Ball I don't think is funny either. I'm not a big fan of the Three Stooges. I don't know. Yeah, I like Samuel Jackson. I think he's a fantastic actor. I really, really like him. And man, I know it's probably just sort of, almost cliche at this point to even mention, but it, the it, when Tarantino picked him to do the Pulp Fiction, I got the title left my brain for a split second. I really, really like Pulp Fiction, and Sam Jackson is just, that's a crazy performance, man. Especially the scene in the diner. He just grabs it, you know what I mean? It's just kind of enthralling, you know? Yeah, he's a powerful guy. He's a powerful guy. Oh, Nasal Penny, I don't know. What would they choose? LA, because LA is kind of ruled by Hollywood to a certain degree, isn't it? You know what I mean? Um, Maybe they'll be able to shake that, and do something that's more, because there's more to LA than just Hollywood. There's been art that's come out of there. There's been, well, whatever. I don't want to get into it because I'm fairly ignorant about a lot of things, um, but yeah. MMA, huh? Right on, man. I never really got into MMA, but the only times I ever get into fighting, like boxing or something like that, is when I have a friend that's into it. You know what I mean? I can kind of, um, but yeah, I don't, yeah, otherwise I don't really get into it. But I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the match. And yeah, I'm glad you got here too. Anyway, thanks, Katie. Oh, wow, that's disappointing, Tim. Right. Hey, Silly Willy. Well, glad you made it, man. Good to have you come be able to hang out with us. I haven't seen Django Unchained yet. I don't know how that's happened. Well, I know how it's happened. Is I don't really go to movie theaters much because of my back. But um, oh, thanks, Silly Willy. I'm glad. Yeah, I like the movies I've seen by Quentin Tarantino. I'm trying to think of which ones I have seen. What's the one? Jackie Brown, I think is the name of that. And of course oh man, the one where all the guys are in the warehouse and they're Mr. Pink and oh man, what is that called? Well, anyway, I think you all know what I mean. I like that a good bit. And is it Inglorious Bastards? Is the one that's the World War II thing? That was pretty amazing too. Yeah, he knows how he's plus Quentin Tarantino is a weird guy, man. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I saw him on whose show was it? I think maybe it was Jimmy Kimmel or something. I saw this clip, and Jimmy Kimmel had just pulled out these just random weird VHS movies from like the 90s or something, and there's just this weird stuff that like who's heard of this nonsense, and was just reading him. So he couldn't see the picture or the name or anything, but he would just read him like the little description on the back that kind of is trying to get you excited to do it, um, and and he could do it. He wasn't 100%, but he was pretty close most of the time, and like surprisingly accurate for like I think more than half of them. It's like, dude, how do you know so much about so many movies, man? It's just crazy. Reservoir Dogs, right? Thank you, Cave. Oh, thanks, Silly Willy. There might be some of that tonight. Sometimes I do kind of fold in a little bit of gameplay into that. Depends on how the chat goes. If the chat gets slow, then I play games. And also, if the chat gets slow, I do the with the brush and the bottle. And I have all that stuff here today. So we'll probably do a little bit of that later. But we still got more than an hour or so. Dusk to Dawn. Yeah, I liked Dusk to Dawn. I thought that was it was pretty exciting. It was a little over the top, but I enjoyed it. Hateful Eight, I haven't seen that one either. I got to see that. I don't think you can assign things like intelligence a single cause or anything like that. I think it's too dynamic to be nailed down by a single aspect. That's the thing about most things in the world and in life, right? The entire world, the universe, right? Everything about it is a system that interrelates, right? And everything is in relationship with everything else. That's just a matter of physical observation, you know. And when you're trying to talk about intelligence, from a human perspective, right? What we're talking about is how can we relate with information that we take in from our environment, and then make use of that information in a way that gives us insight that improves our ability to function in that context. So I don't think there's ever a single way of nailing it down. I think it's one of those things that's always going to have multiple causes or multiple influences, and it's going to change from context to context. But as humans, we have this weird desire to A, to turn things into binaries, and B, to oversimplify explanations and then leave it as oversimplified. Like there's use in having a simplified explanation to get a point across, but then remember that's not a complete model, right? It's just a pastiche or something, you know? Yeah, anyway, so there's my take on intelligence. And it's a thing I think people should be cautious about, how they seriously throw the word around. Um, because there's different ways to think about people being intelligent, right? Yeah. Anyway. All right. You should do the brush and cup sounds at some point. Yeah, I will be doing some brush and cup sounds, and probably here in a few minutes. It looks like I'm catching up to the bottom of the comments now. Okay, so for me, it's 10:37. And okay, well, I've caught up. Let me get a little drink of water. So I think I'm going to start with the jar. We'll start with the jar. What's going on here, man? Okay, there's another ad coming up, but it's giving me a button so I can skip it, so I'm going to. That's crazy. I mean, in the past it's had ads, but it's like there's been like two during the whole thing. Oh my God, Matt, that is crazy generous, man. Wow, I am speechless. Holy mackerel. Heebie-jeebie-jeebie. Holy mackerel. Dude, that is just crazy cool. I like it, man. I don't know. I was going to say I like it when you guys are generous, which is obvious, right? You know what I mean? Because it helps me, right? But, this is going to suck, but I can't remember who did it earlier. Oh, Heath, it was Heath. All right, sorry, I forgot that it was you, man. Similarly, like people, I don't know, just it's good when people are generous, I think. It's not just when it's generous with me, but it just the idea that, people are willing to kind of be cool with each other and like, well, whatever. I think you get what I mean. Yeah, I appreciate it. Oh, if you're gonna recommend any of the Sokoban videos to somebody, you should have them watch the Epic Sokoban series. What is that? Turned into 4 videos. Maybe I should make that be its own playlist. The Epic Sokoban playlist. I've been thinking about doing that again. What do you guys think? Should I do another ridiculous, like, 10,000 move Sokoban? Alright, let me shut up and I'll do the jar a little bit more. Okay, there's more comments now, so I better let me catch back up here. Oh, thanks for the info, Max. But the thing is, and that is super generous, but the specificity of the amount isn't as important to me as the act of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, your generosity is overwhelming, Matt. And you too, Heath. Okay, let's see. This is getting more comments are coming again. Okay, wait, here we go. It's a long time. Oh, thanks for that. Do I say that Nim or do I say that Nime? And have I asked that before? If I have, I forget. What advice do I have for teenagers who can't find people who share their interests or passions? Well, I guess the advice I would have is Well, first of all, I don't know what the passions are, so I would assume that you might be able to find, social groups around such a topic on things like Facebook, I don't know, or Reddit and that kind of thing. But if you want to have physical interaction with people, go to the places where people who like that thing might be. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Um, I don't know. Maybe if you have local, like like when I lived in San Diego, there was a paper that was called The Reader, and it's what we used to. It was a once a week paper that was free. You know, those free papers, like, um, and there used to be like a pretty extensive classified section. That's kind of what they were famous for. But there was this big, personal section where, people do that kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. I've never done that. I don't know how useful it would be. I don't know. I'm not very good at social questions, man. I suck with that. Social skills aren't all that great. Um, but I would, start with looking for groups of similarly minded people online, you know, and maybe do a search on the topic on YouTube and find a channel that is around that topic, and then see if they do a live stream like this, and then you could do, interact with somebody on this level like that, and see, maybe you could meet people that are physically near you, that you could actually, meet them and maybe, have some social interaction actually in person. Okay, hang on. All right, where am I at here? So, well, like I said, it's not about the specificity of the amount, man. It's about the act. Holy mackerel, it's only been how many minutes and they want to run another ad? What's going on here? I wonder if it's punishing me because I'm skipping them. It wouldn't surprise me. All right, anyways, let me get back to here. Pop, 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 pop. Holy mackerel, if it's at $50,000, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? Yeah. Dude, I could make $50,000 last a long time, believe me. Well, maybe initially a big chunk of it would get spent on stuff. Oh my goodness, I just noticed Max. Holy mackerel. Man, oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I truly appreciate it, Max. It's just crazy cool, very generous. Everybody should give everybody the 3 cheers treatment of, thanks for being nice to Bill. Hey, Reclaimer Rob, how's it going, man? What do I think of the current political parties and candidates? Okay, I'll be brief with this because I don't want to turn this into a big political thing. I try to keep politics on my other channel, the WC Potion channel, but I don't do live streams over there. Maybe I should consider doing that. I don't know. I have to think about that because, like I said it before, I'm pretty bad at managing my time. All right, so I'm left-wing. And when I say left-wing, I don't mean Democrat. I mean left-wing as in I'm an anarchist and I believe that capitalism needs to be dismantled. I don't think the evil parts of capitalism are because it's bad people in charge. I think capitalism is inherently flawed as a system. The structure of it is designed, and the whole point of it is to draw value from places into the hands of a few people, and to give the levers of power that have to do with resources in the hands of a very few people. I mean, that's what it does. And when they talk about free markets and things like that, heavy-duty capitalism, man, they don't want free markets. All the companies want is they want monopolies, right? That's the striving thing, But anything, there's also, to my mind, the Republican Party now has devolved into something that is not anything like what it once was. Not that I ever really liked the Republican Party to begin with, but MAGA is essentially fascist. I mean, I'm sorry if any of you are out there and that's offending you, but MAGA is essentially fascist. And that's like the other end of the spectrum from my perspective. And Trump is just, he's a buffoon. He's just not a good person. He exhausts my capacity for compassion, and that kind of, I'm ashamed of that, to be honest. Well, on my other channel, I call myself the atheist anarchist advocating agape. I am an atheist, but I'm a religious man, and I believe, I'm not a Christian, but I believe that the message of the Christ and the message of the Buddha, which are very, very similar from the standpoint of compassion, and in the Christian vernacular, agape, right? It's the Greek word. And basically, it's profound compassion and love for your fellow man. I believe that is our best form of strategy to survive as a species. So yeah, I think Donald Trump is an absolute anyway, I don't like Trump at all. And I think the people that are following him, it's like, you don't see it, but he's screwing you, man. He's absolutely screwing you. And I'm not a Democrat, like I said before, but I do think that there's something maybe to be said for, we have to stop Trump first and then start moving, And I would love to. I'm not an accelerationist, mostly because those types of situations won't succeed. If you destroy the system too quickly, and you don't have a replacement ready to go to stick in place, you're going to end up with a Napoleon or a Hitler or something like that. But that's why we need education. We need people, and it's not like to indoctrinate them into my perspective. I honestly believe that people, when given the aspect and the ability to actually discern the data and look at it for themselves, they'll start going, oh, collective problem solving is a better method, And I'm not interested in having what's the word I'm looking for, a manifesto, because I don't believe that the kind of world I actually want to see happen is going to happen within my lifetime. So I don't want to dictate, my perspective on the people in the future. They need to make decisions that are best for them in that time period. But we need to move towards very solid democratic principles. We need to move towards collective problem solving. We need to have things like, I believe, that housing, access to decent food, potable water, medical care, and education. I think all those things are human rights. And not only do I think they're human rights, but I think we are obligated, and we should be desiring to do these things for all of us, right? If people are cared for in a meaningful way, you don't have the same level of crime and crap that we have. If people are cared for in a meaningful way, and I mean that like they get education, they get the healthcare, right? They get these things I'm talking about. And we can afford it. The resources are there. There's this phrase that happens a lot where people say, to get something done, you need three things. You got to have the resources, you got to have the manpower, and you got to have the capital. And no, you need the resources, you need the manpower. Capital is not necessary. Capital is a construct that is used by the system we currently use. That's it. Money inherently has no it doesn't have any value that is in itself. Money is only valued within the context of its use, right? If I spend $5 on a gallon of gas, that gallon of gas was worth precisely that $5 that I spent on it, period. Everything else that you see on economic charts and this, those are all models that are used to describe a system in such a way so that people can get a handle on it. That's it, right? Anyway, so there's my rant and rave on that crap. Sorry if I pissed anybody off or made you feel unwelcome or whatever. It's not my intent. But yeah, I kind of get worked up sometimes about that crap. So yeah, if you need to know more about that on my perspective, again, go watch the W.C. Postman channel, and I need to get more involved on that channel, I think, and partially just so I can spew things out and whatnot, but get it off my chest, I suppose. Anyway, so let me get back to the comments, but so we can get off of the whole political bit of nonsense. It's not what I wanted to be here for. Yeah, preach. Okay, hang on, let me scroll back up here. Yeah, I certainly am, Tim. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean, Tim. It's like the world is what, yeah, it's a crazy place, and well, well, don't let it frighten you, Nasal Penny. It's just delightful. Well, thanks for the compliment, Matt. You know, Tim, I've had well, not so much really now, but because I basically just sort of don't interact with them anymore. But there were people in my life in the recent past that were sort of into the whole MAGA thing, and it got to the place that I just couldn't interact with them anymore. You know what I mean? It's just like I can't. Anyway, but that's, I don't have the skill set and the social capability to interact with people in that, and try to reach them, try to, communicate with them on a meaningful level. I just get too angry, and I just don't. Yeah, it's my shortcoming. But thanks, Hong Kong. Libertarian Party. You know, they're still pro-capitalism. you know, so I don't really belong to a party. I mean, I'm an anarchist, but I don't really follow anybody's particular theory of anarchy. I have my own ideas about what it is, and essentially I use the word anarchy because it's without a ruler, right? Monarchy is one king, anarchy is without a king. I mean, that's the simplest, phraseology for it. But there are means of having collective problem solving, and where people can have things where you're not being powerful over each other, right? So anyway, I keep falling into this stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean about that. Well, women should vote. They're humans, right? Just as everybody else, they need to have they need representation, right? And we should be represented, not ruled. I think Kamala Harris will be a credible, I shouldn't say credible, I think she'll be an effective president. I don't think she'll be as progressive as I want, but I think she'll be as progressive as I could hope for in the given, current time frame and what do they call that, the Overton window. Um, you know, let's hope so. I mean, I'd like to move towards, free education for everybody, free health care for everybody. Well, because here's the thing, it's not free. It's just, we treat it like it would be, as something that's as necessary as infrastructure, you know? Yeah, he does, doesn't he, Nasal Penny? As a business owner somewhere with a massive, yeah. See, there's the thing. It's like I saw a guy who, he was here on YouTube, and he was Danish, and he was responding to somebody else's video. Oh, and it was somebody that was sort of right-wing MAGA, and they were talking about, those crazy commie countries over there in Northern Europe and blah, 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 and their healthcare. Anyway, there was just this whole thing about how they, this free healthcare, blah, 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 kind of just how it was unrealistic or whatever. Anyway, the guy was like, it's not free healthcare and it's not unrealistic. It's not, any of those criticisms or whatever the hell. It's included. It's paid for, but everybody gets it because it's necessary, right? You know what I mean? It's like, come on now. Are you really going to not help a person who's suffering from harm simply over money? Yikes. Anyway, well, see, here's the thing. People keep talking about how are we going to pay for something where it's, a better. So what we'll start with is that everybody pays what they already pay, because you pay for health insurance now, right? So you still just pay, and if you don't, yeah, you do. You get it as part of your compensation, right? Um, so, I mean, if you're in a job where you don't get health insurance, then you probably need a better job. But I shouldn't be so flippant. But um, in most cases, health care is in fact part of your compensation, so you have earned it, right? But here's the thing. We have already the most expensive but yet ill-distributed medical system on the planet. We've got the best gadgets and toys. We have some of the best trained, although I wouldn't necessarily say best trained. That's a debatable thing. Um, so we already have a really, really good system in a material sense, right? It's just not distributed well. So you could keep the system as it is, just take away the money that's now going to the ownership class and stockholders, right? You know, what do you mean, how do we pay for it? It's already being paid for. It's just being managed improperly. You know, it's about that simple. I mean, I think it was Harvard or Yale or somebody, they did a study a few years ago that was kind of like, oh yeah, you know, basically just sort of, you know, reinforcing the thing that I just said, that is like, you know, the financial excuses for not doing it they're just bogus. The point of it is the people want it to be that way, and they want that status quo sort of thing because it's part of what the ownership class wants. They don't want to take that away because there's a tremendous amount of money, right? People have to have health care, right? So that means they have to be able to get money out of it. I mean, it's designed that way. Okay, let me check that. Yeah, I know what you mean, Matt. You know, Max, I'm not in touch with him anymore. Paul and I mean, we did get along when we did that collaboration. Um, and we interacted, you know, intermittently for a while, and we had talked about even doing some more collaborations, but our communications just sort of fell apart, and it was basically my fault. I was just weird things were going on in my world, and I just at the time, and so I kind of, yeah, we just sort of drifted apart, and you know, and he was the last one to have reached out, and I fucked up and didn't respond, and it just sort of time got away from us, and well, there you go. I don't know. But you know, yeah, he and I got along. I thought, you know, back in the day, and I really liked. I enjoyed making that video, and I think the results are reasonable. Although the thing that I am disappointed with on it is that his sound is so much better than mine. You know what I mean? But I think the overall result was pretty good. Oh, James Garner ASMR. Yeah, well, that's part of the reason I do make the effort to occasionally say my pronouns. And, well, I'll do it now. Hi, my name is Bill, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. I think, look, people are people, man. You know what I mean? And if all they're doing is they're asking you to address them in a particular manner and treat them in a particular way, it's like, why deny them that? Well, I don't understand. What do you think you're getting out of the world by doing that? You know what I mean? It's just, it's words that you use to describe and interact with a human, right? I mean, the amount of effort, I mean, there is effort, right? Because your brain has to go, oh, I have to switch to this thing here. I was expecting to use this word, now I have to use this word. It's like, but it's not that much effort, man, you know? It should be something that's surmountable. Yeah, I know what you mean, Tim. I had a sort of a similar thing with my father-in-law to a certain degree. He was a lot more conservative than I was, but we just didn't talk about, well, and he was Catholic. He's Irish Catholic and conservative. Um, so we just stayed away from some topics. Do I believe that the Bible is the inspired word of God? No, because I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. Yeah, Max, yeah. I mean, I'm not an anti-theist. You know, I'm not going to tell somebody not to believe in God. I just don't. It's as simple as that, you know, the way I model the universe for myself, which is, you know, part of what my religion is about, right? Um, I don't require a God for that to work for me, you know. So, I mean, it's just, you know, that's all there is to it. And my only, you know, complaint that would be to some people who are believers is when they try to enforce their stuff onto other people. Um, And also when they try to interact with the world in such a way, like when you're going, like, that certain scientific things aren't the way they are. Like there's, young Earth creationists, etc. It's just like, the model you're using just doesn't describe the world. It just doesn't. And that's the point of these things, right? Is to understand the world, which means you need to have a reasonable description of, well, whatever. Yeah. Okay, now here we go. Yeah, see, getting rid of public education is a bad idea. So, yeah, sorry to hear about that, Flamboyant Pickle, but hopefully things will improve. Well, thanks for saying that, Matt. I don't really know that I have any trans friends. I have I should, not really a friend, but I have a cousin who's trans. But we don't really interact all that much. Not because I have anything against them or I don't like them or whatever. We just, when we were kids, we hung out because, that's what cousins do. But as adults, we just sort of drifted apart. Um, but I have had, I guess, trans-friendly acquaintances. I mean, at the time they were friends, but they weren't lasting friendships. Um, and the thing, they're people, man. People, just come on, man. They're us. It's as simple as that. They're us. Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean, Hazel Penny. Yeah, we kind of have I mean, if you guys have a reputedly, pretty effective medical system, you know. Well, I'm glad you could hang out with us for a while, Matt. Good interacting with you. But, if you got to do what you got to do, you got to do what you got to do. Oh, yeah, he did comment on one of my videos. And actually, he gave me a shout out very early on in my career, Max. There's this video where he's wearing a leather jacket, and it's this sort of like post-apocalyptical thing. The leather jacket is making these really cool creaky noises, and he's doing this whole thing where he's talking to you as if you were part of the whole, like thing that he's doing, this, how they're surviving with the bad, whatever. Anyway, so he referred to me, and it was very interesting the way he did it. He kind of folded it in. It was really, really cool. Um, and, it actually helped me out channel-wise because he had already had, a pretty decent following for, the time period anyway. Um, that was a cool thing back then. The YouTube scene for ASMR was actually kind of a scene. Like most of us sort of interacted at least to some degree. And it was a lot more community-like. I think it's because of the size. I think the only thing now is that there's just so much ASMR on YouTube, which is fine. It means we all have something to choose from. But the population of it has just gotten so big that it's difficult for it to have that kind of community feeling, Yeah, anyway, Oh, yeah, he did some weird thing about where he was talking about terrorism against animals or something like that, right? Or so, I don't remember exactly what he said. I didn't want to weigh in. I just, what? I don't want to. I didn't. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Is my response to when I saw what he was saying, because it just didn't make sense. Um, First of all, you can't do terrorism against animals because terrorism is the point of terrorism isn't the damage. The point of terrorism is the terror that results, right? We don't interact with animals on that level, and we just don't, you know. Um, yeah. Anyway, I mean, it's a political action, so I decided just to leave it alone. But I don't know how, I don't know where that came from or what that was about or what he was really trying to, I don't know. I just, whatever. Um, yeah, I don't really, like I said, we don't interact. And to be truthful, I only watch him rarely because I mostly watch women. Just because the timbre of a woman's voice tends to be more soothing for me. I think it's like the maternal comfort thing, probably, but why don't I believe in God? Because I don't need a God for me to model my universe to a point that where it makes sense to me. I'm a very sciencey sort of guy. I studied math when I was at university, and yeah, it's just and I'm not going to try to tell you not to believe in God. I'm not anti-theist. Um, you know, as long as we can be cool to each other, that's all I care about. Um, that and don't harm yourself with your belief in God insofar as it will have you deny things that are pretty observably true things. At least true enough in the sense of functionality in a scientific manner, right? And again, I'll use the example of young Earth Christians who are trying to say that the Earth is like, 4,000 years old or something like that. Yeah, it's like, well, anyway, because, they can probably live their lives thinking that just fine, but there's a good chance that the less effective your model is, the higher the chances that something you're going to interact with something that you won't be able to deal with in an effective way because of your model being in error, right? That's really what it comes down to if you want to be just sort of nuts and bolts about it. Um, yeah, but and again, whatever model works for you is the model that works for you. Just don't be a dick to other people about it. Like I have several friends who are Christian, and they aren't pushy about their Christianity. They're very invitational. You know what I mean? And I have meaningful and deep conversations with them. Like the guy, a very, very, very dear friend, probably was my best friend at the time for a while. But we used to drink together, right? And our friendship sort of kind of got rocky after I gave up drinking because he wouldn't. Not that I was making him do it or anything like that, but it was just difficult to be around him sometimes because he was still drinking, and he wouldn't not drink when I was around him, so it made it difficult. But then he had other health, like some pretty extreme health issues, and he's died. But he's more or less why I'm an anarchist, actually. But he was a Christian. He was Catholic. It was very deeply meaningful to him. And he used to accuse me of being the most Christian man he knew, which he did because he was poking fun at me. But he was also trying to pay me a compliment. But he's the one who gave me "Living Buddha, Living Christ" by Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah, I think there's things for us to learn from each other that can help us all better understand the universe we find ourselves in and how that we can all interrelate with each other and that universe. But the truth is we are all, in fact, on our own path. You know what I mean? It's just how you interact with the world. You can interact with it in a way that you feel that you're on somebody else's path because of the commonality of your experience and how you interact with each other. But the truth is you are on your own path. You're the only one who can live your life. So you need to take some responsibility for that. But if religion is the thing that works, man, then, sibling, have at it, Anyway, here I get that. Okay, so he was talking about well, okay, whatever. There's something to be said that words are just words, but things like the N-word, there is a historical and social momentum to it, and that because words do have impact. Like if you go yell something in somebody's face, it can actually change their their aspect, whatever, right? So it's like they do have effect. There's the thing about, sticks and stones break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But words can make an emotional impact, which in the moment can be painful, right? And a word like the N-word is, well, it's one of those words, you know? And there's a lot of those words, right? Anyway. I mean, you certainly have the freedom of speech and thought. You can say whatever you'd like about anything you'd like to do. But if you say something like that that is so far removed from what everybody else thinks is the right deal, you know, as far as appropriate behavior, you're going to get pushback, right? It's like I get very frustrated with people that say, oh, they're trying to cancel me. And especially it's like, wait, you're a person who's on YouTube with a big following telling me that you're being canceled. You're a ridiculous fool, you know? And it's like, they're trying to take away my freedom of speech. It's like, well, they have freedom of speech to respond to you, you know? It's like a lot of people who make those complaints, like what they want to be able to do, truthfully, at least by my observation, is they want to be able to say what they want to be able to say without repercussion and responsibility. Right? They're looking for the right to be able to be harmful and hurtful to others with their language. I mean, that may not be the way they think about it in their own head, but behaviorally, that's the result. Yeah, I have friends in the UK, Sly, and have some really good friends, and so we are often talking about, you know, personal issues that will have to do with medical stuff, and you know, there's similar problems, you know, as far as like, you know, getting care well, it depends on the coverage you have and what your access is, you know. But again, it's one of those things, the physical resources exist, the human resources exist. What we lack is the political and logistical will to do it, you know. So we'll see what happens. All right, Tim. Well, you know, if that's the model that works for you, brother, then have at it, my friend. Yeah, you know, Max, about Paul, our ephemeral riff, we're going to call him. Oh, wait a minute, the thing just jumped. Where'd you go? Okay, so I don't want to. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you know, I think, well, like everybody, he's got, you know, we all have issues and whatnot, and how they manifest, especially if you exist to a certain degree in a public arena, right? He's got a much bigger following and does, you know, it seems like he's out there more than I am, at least at this point. And I have no idea what effect that'll have on, you know, somebody's psyche. You know, if you get so popular, how does it change your behavior or not? I don't know. I don't know how, you know, I don't really have that big of a following, though, do I? Where we're at, I think the last time I looked, it was 29,000 or something like that, which is okay. I mean, that's okay. You know, of course, I would be happier with, you know, way more, because, yeah, well, whatever, we don't get into all that kind of stuff. Anyways, let me get back up to here. Science rules were made by somebody. Well, of course they're made by somebody, right? The point is that they're supposed to be verifiable and repeatable, right? And that's the point of it, right? You're trying to model the world. I mean, that's the point of science, is to model the world in a way that helps us understand it in a manner that gives us insight to function better in it. I mean, that's what it does, right? It could be because you get joy out of it. It could be because it helps you do your job. It could be, I mean, there's a gazillion things about the application, but the mental process and the methodology about investigating the material world, that's going to be the best method for doing it. But of course the rules, but here's the thing to remember. Laws of physics, I don't like that language. Laws of physics aren't laws to be broken or not broken. The laws of physics are in fact mathematical descriptions of observed phenomenon, right? So if you reliably find observation of phenomenon that don't fit what you think it's supposed to be because of your laws of physics, then you have to change your laws of physics to, you know, fit the reliably observed and repeatable observations, right? The model is a description of reality. It will never be the reality, right? Which means science is never a project that can be finished, right? It's a process that will have to be ongoing, period. I mean, that's just the nature of it. The universe is dynamic. Our conceptualization will have to be dynamic. We're dynamic systems ourselves, right? Like I said, a lot of times, humans get this thing where we try to oversimplify things. And I get it because we're all, to a certain degree, inherently lazy, right? And the simpler the model, the easier it is intellectually to deal with. And the brain uses a lot of calories, man. Anyway, where am I at here? Yeah, I know what you mean, Sly. Here's the thing that I'm very frustrated with because I don't know how much it gets reported over there because when I talk to my friends, I think it's underreported. But there are financial interests that are pressuring you guys on that side of the Atlantic that you should dismantle your NHS to a certain degree because these financial interests have to do with pharmaceutical and other types of medical technology and insurance and all this stuff. They want to come into your country. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. Well, there's more to it, at least on your side. But there's American interests, given the label they like to use, that are applying pressure on your government and your economy, from leaders and etc., both business and government. You know. Anyway, and you're right. The vultures are circling, and a lot of them are U.S. Yeah, Matt, that's what I agree with that, and until we get better at marshaling our resources and et cetera, it will always be, it will get better if we get better at marshaling our resources. Um, but, I like to point to situations like what you guys have in South Korea and, of course, places like Denmark, whatever, um, where they have good systems that work well, you know. Um, and as we get better at being humans, things will get better. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, isn't it? And the truth is there is a momentum that is towards the progressive end of things because as people become more aware, I think more and more people want democratic solutions and they want collective solutions and things that are more equitable. You know, I think as time goes, there's more and more people that think that's the way to go. Anyway, well, here, as we talk, I'm going to start doing some brushing and stuff because we're down to about a half hour left. So let me do a little bit of brushing while I'm trying to read these things here. Actually, it's too hard to do this and do that because I'm afraid I'm going to bang the mic, so I'll do the jar instead. Okay, Matt, I'm glad you could come by. Yeah, here's the thing. Truthfully, I don't have a problem with the Bible being taught in a school as long as it's being taught in a class that is labeled religion or something to do with the culture of it or something like that. It has to be a relevant form of study that can be done without enforcing a religious perspective onto somebody. You know what I mean? And make it an elective. You can't make it compulsory. Yeah, it was. It was back in the day, wasn't it, Tim? I kind of miss those times. I actually prefer the old way, the layout of YouTube as well. Because I think, well, the thing of it is the old layout was for building a community, where the new layout is for making it effective for business, and big business at that. I mean, that's what Alphabet wants when they buy things, right? They want the money, man. Oh, okay, so he is trying to get some stuff, get some mental health relief, right? That's a good thing. I mean, I don't, it's like, it's funny, like my life is much, much better now that I've been diagnosed and I'm on meds, you know? Because I don't know how many of you here are familiar with the situation, but I try to be pretty open about it. But I have, well, if I'm not on meds, I suffer from pretty severe depression, which manifests as profound lethargy, is the way I describe it. It's not that I'm sad, it's that I just can't do anything, you know? Um, and on top of that, I've been diagnosed with a mood disorder, which I guess is like minor bipolar, you know, and it's well managed with meds. I'm doing much, much better now that I've, you know, as I said. Um, so if he's getting the help that he needs, that's a good thing, man. That's an absolutely good thing. Okay, let me scroll this up here a second. Okay. Yeah, see, here's the thing. When I used to, Tim, when I used to hang out, or not hang out, but we would, you know, video chat, hang out, and we would talk about a lot of stuff about, you know, because we were talking about maybe doing other collaborations and that kind of thing, and also just to talk, you know, because we found each other interesting and kind of cool to hang out with. Um, but like I try to bring in every now and again some kind of arty nonsense into my I shouldn't call it nonsense, but a little bit more arty stuff, you know, like a 3-layer cake and that kind of thing. And I'd like to get into start making more of that kind of thing. It's just, again, I have to get better at managing my time. And so he and I were talking about those types of things because we had pretty similar perspectives on, you know, how that ASMR could be more than just, you know, a sleep aid, you know what I mean? That you could actually kind of do things with it, that it could be, you know, an actual art form, you know, in the sense of like painting and stuff like that. Anyway, so he absolutely is very, he sees his stuff as performance art. So it's going to be very broad, and he's going to have a lot of things like that. That's basically just part of the nature of his, you know, the way he wants to approach his work. And he does approach it as work, like as an artist, you know what I mean? And I have a lot of respect for him on that level. But again, like we haven't really interacted lately, and I don't really watch him all that frequently anymore, frankly. Not that I think he's bad, it's just as I said before, I prefer female voices. Yeah, hang on. This feels weird to be talking while I'm doing this. I hope that the combination is doing okay for people here. And I need to get back on here into the comments thing. Yeah, dude, it's just the N word is just, that's like, I don't know what to call it. Like, it, you know, I was going to say a hot potato, but that's not what it is. I mean, that kind of comes from a Bill, what's his name? Bill Burr. There's a routine he does where he refers to some guy using the N-word as being a bit like a hot potato. It's like, don't hand me that, you know. But it's even worse than that when you're doing it on a mass published thing like a tweet. It's like, unless you're going to start your thing off and make it very clear that what you're doing is you're talking about the word in a linguistic manner so that people know you're not flinging it at somebody. I think you should just keep the word, you know, out of, you know, your speech and your print, you know, just because it does, it's just, it has too much emotional baggage for too many people, I think, to just kind of loosely throw it around. Yeah, it is very childish, Max. And it's looking at the function of language from, you know, the single perspective, right, from the transmission perspective without the entirety of the cycle of, you know, how communication works, right? Yeah, it's a little frustrating, but yeah, you know, a lot of my family is from Indiana. There's a simple thing, right? Very, you know, kind of small town, but super conservative Christian, very religious. Um, hey, Diego, how's it going? Okay, where are we at here? Wait, what just happened? I tried to scroll and then it just jumped like crazy. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I guess it is embarrassing, isn't it? Oh wow, I never even knew about Angelica ASMR. I never knew about that channel. I don't get the point of racist nonsense, man. It's, well, first of all, the race model is ridiculous pseudoscience. You know what I mean? The idea that there's, you know, 3 races of people. So what the hell are you talking about, man? Certainly there's variety among humans in the sense that, you know, there's, if you if your ancestry comes from different, geographic areas, there's going to be, different feature changes because we evolve, right? But that's all it is, man. We're the same species. It's just, and there is no clear delineation, right? I mean, this whole, well, whatever. It's a really bad model, and it's, crappy. It was invented so that white rich guys could justify the fact that they're taking stuff from other people, because the idea is that you could use the race model in a way that would justify white supremacy. I mean, go back and look at the way some of that stuff's treated, going back to immediately after Darwin. A lot of people were perverting his work as, survival of the fittest. We can kick their ass, so it's okay for us to take it, right? I mean, that's oversimplification, but I think, you can kind of get the point I'm trying to make. Max, I don't know. It's hard. It's like when people self-sabotage, it's really hard for me to understand what's going on in their head. And I think I lack the appropriate tools of, understanding psychology. But yeah, he is married with kids, right? It's disappointing, Nasal Penny, when people when they surprise you with things that you go, wow, that's kind of crappy. Yeah, James, it's as far as the topics go and all that. I mean, it's always my intent that this should always just be kind of chill and whatever. But sometimes it really does kind of get busy with the comments, and I don't even really do very much of the brushing and the stuff, right? Which it seems like tonight I haven't done much of any of it, have I? So I'll do a little bit of it now, I guess, because I might do a little bit of extra time, um, just so I can kind of do some of that. Um, Anyway, yeah, when it does go kind of dynamic this way, James, it's okay. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I'm glad that you appreciate what's going on, though. Do I like the 15th century? I'm not even sure how to answer that. I don't know that I'd like or dislike any centuries. I mean, there's stuff. I mean, I'm trying to think of what would have happened in the 15th century. Well, I guess that's Columbus's thing, and okay, the interesting things that happened then is that's the end of the Reconquista, right? Because that happened just before Columbus got the money off the Spanish, right? Um, and that was the last of the Moorish caliphate to get kicked out of the Iberian Peninsula. Like Hieronymus, I find Hieronymus Bosch very interesting. And on just a basic, just sort of aesthetic, sort of, like, dislike, ooh, kind of thing. I like it. I think his stuff is very, I enjoy it. But from just a standpoint of, trying to encounter art in a meaningful way as it being a thing that a human does for another human kind of thing. The things that he does is very interesting. The structure of his composition and the way he does it and puts things in the symbolism. It's just, I've seen a bunch of documentaries and I've read a few things about some of the things, like especially the famous one is the Garden of Earthly Delights, right? That's one of the triptych ones. Yeah, crazy, interesting stuff. Thinking of triptychs, there's another guy that does that stuff. That's who's a very, very different artist, but and he's a 20th century guy, is Francis Bacon. But for whatever reason, the triptych thing just popped into my head and made the association. Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear about that, Nasal Penny. Yeah, suicide is a rough thing. I mean, I can kind of understand it from the perspective, like if you have, some kind of horrible illness and you're just trying to take control of your life and, you want to end it on your own terms. I think that absolutely should be a thing. But there's another thing, man. It's like if somebody just gets tired of existing, is it okay to let them kill themselves? Are we supposed to keep somebody alive even when they just don't want to be alive? And it's like, it's hard to say, like, can somebody be just sort of like done? I'm not sure. some of those things that just get, I don't know. I don't know. Differences between racial lineages. I'm not sure I understand what you mean that. I mean, there are certainly, groups and populations that have diverged, and clearly there's been, physical features that have changed with that divergence. Um, but following the idea of the, Caucasoid, Negroid, Mongoloid thing, that's poppycock. I mean, there's no scientific evidence to draw those lines the way that they've been suggested by that model, you know. But there are certainly people do have ethnic and, genetic backgrounds from people that come from from different geographical places, right? That's the thing of it, right? Geography, people's organism, their existence responds differently to different environments, and that's going to result in people's having different form, It's going to be, changes, morphology will be different, right? Yeah, Gentle Whispering Maria is great. I really, really enjoy Maria. I think she's, right now, well, she's consistently one of my favorite. And again, I've kind of been going back to her a lot lately. And she just seems so genuinely cool and caring, you know what I mean? I mean, I hope that in her personal life she's anything like what she projects, what we get to see, because she's just such a beautiful human. And, oh, what's her husband's name? Derek, right? Weightlifting Whisperer. He's a cool guy, too. I know I've said this before, but when I first came out and started making videos, he was really nice to me, and he kind of, recommended me, and he kind of contacted me and said, hey, blah, 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 and you kind of opened the door for, some kind of social interaction with some people. He's a really cool guy. And Maria's a really cool human, at least from my, I haven't really interacted with her in that same level, and the interaction I had with Derek was pretty short, but it made a good impression on me. You prefer my talking to the brushing and stuff? Yeah, I do remember the one, Lilium. I liked her a lot, too. She did some, especially those ones that were about Little Moth or something like that. I really enjoyed that. Well, when I'm talking about the thing race, as far as the definition, James, I'm talking about when I was in school, we were taught that there were three races of humans. There's the Mongoloids, there's the Negroids, and the Caucasoids, right? And those rough hashings out of a shape of how humanity is just not an accurate way of describing humans, Anyway. Yeah, she does, doesn't she, Judith? She seems like, yeah. She seems like the kind of person, if you met her in person, you go, hey, let's just go have a cup of coffee or some tea and chat, and you could probably have a really good time, Okay, Hazel Penny, I'm glad you stopped by. I hope you had a good time. Do I have a favorite Shakespeare play? Yeah, Hamlet. And to be followed by Taming of the Shrew, or Taming of a Shrew. Yeah, I'm not super literate when it comes to Shakespeare, but, of course everybody's read Romeo and Juliet, although I was lucky enough, my parents took us to see a production of Romeo and Juliet that's by this guy, Ball, who used to he's well known for doing Shakespeare shit back in the day. And yeah, my parents were very cool about taking me and my sister to cultural events and things like that. But yeah, Hamlet is a really, really good play. And believe it or not, one of my favorite things as far as films go is the Mel Gibson version. I was really surprised at how well he portrayed Hamlet. I really like that version. And it's just odd because in so many other ways, he's just kind of I don't think I'd like him. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm, but he just seems kind of nuts. Anyway, okay, now that I'm kind of caught up on the comments, let's do a few minutes of just stuff here. So I'll do a little bit of brushing. Kind of just at the end of the video here. That way people can wind down and kind of just chill out. And if they need to just hit the hay and go to bed, that, you know, we won't be so worked up about all my whatever arrogant ramblings of, you know, religion and politics. Brushing the mic, brushing the mic, brushing the mic up. Did somebody... Okay, more comments. Let me see what's going on. Oh, that's right. I forgot about Maria having, when she was married to the other guy. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, it was good for her to have that change, wasn't it, though? I mean, obviously it was good for her because now she's got a whole new situation. They've got a kid, and, you know, it's fantastic. I'm glad she's been able to carve out the success that I think she deserved. Yeah, you're right, Judith. He was all over the place, wasn't he? Like Mad Max and those Lethal Weapon movies. I enjoyed those. I mean, they're silly, sort of just, you know, consumable pop culture movies, but I found them enjoyable. Ethan Hawke, is he the one that was in, what's that movie? Crap, the name of it just left my head. It has Uma Thurman in it, and, oh man, it's not going to come to my mind. Oh well, yeah, I can't remember it. But he's trying to get on this a trip, like I think to go on a space journey as an astronaut kind of thing, and he doesn't qualify really because he's physically deficient, right? Their whole society's around this whole, you know, whether you're, you know, fucked up or not or whatever, and so he has to go through this whole thing faking to get the system to believe that he's somebody that he's not, so that he can actually pursue, you know, what he wants to do. And what is that called? It's going to drive me nuts. I don't know, maybe some of you know what I mean. The Water Whispers. I don't know if I remember that. It doesn't ring a bell. Gattaca, that was it, Max. Thank you. Gattaca. Yeah, I really like that. Now, that's Ethan Hawke, right? Or am I remembering it wrong? I really liked that movie, though. And yeah, he was very powerful in that. His portrayal was, I found it very, very effective. Brushing the mic, brushing the mic. Winding down and relaxing, brushing the mic. Going over here, brushing this mic for a minute. Brushing the mic so we can wind down and chill out. Brushing the mic. Here we go. Let's put the mic, the brush away for a minute. We've already done some stuff with the jar. Let's do some tapping, shall we? Let's try to be kind of slow and effective, shall I? Do it with the pads of my fingers first. Thanks, Max. Wow, Ryan. Thank you. Well, thanks for showing up, and thanks for your generosity, man. That is super, super groovy. Everybody give Ryan, man. I've been having, you guys are just showering me tonight, and it's fantastic. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, everybody give 3 cheers to Brian, or Ryan, please, excuse me. Man. Am I usually a night owl? No, I used to be. I stopped being a night owl when I gave up booze. I'm usually in bed between 10 and 11, but I usually get up before 6 too, so. No, I didn't feel any earthquake. Was there an earthquake here in the Bay Area? Are you here in the Bay Area, Judith? Am I going to go shopping? You know, I probably am. You know, because I think the amount of money that people have showered on me tonight, I think I'm going to use that to buy a green screen. Thanks, Max. Let's go over here now to this side. Oh, you're in Glendale, okay. Do you know how big it was? The earthquake, I mean, Judith? Ryan, what does you say? S-E? I don't get what you're trying to say. Oh. Thank you, Ryan. Well, I'm glad you feel that way too. You know, I mean, you know. You know, Judith, as to the earthquake thing, the house I live on, which is my dad's place, or live in, I guess, we're situated on this hill, and our house, the foundation of it, is pretty much like directly into bedrock on the hill that we're on. And so, I mean, we're pretty much right into bedrock. So it has to be a really big earthquake for us to feel anything. Now let's do some nails this time again. Yeah, I guess I am an early riser. Didn't used to be. You know, when I first gave up booze, I was actually, I went to bed early and I slept in late, but I think that was a byproduct of my depression that I was probably self-medicating about, you know? Oh, typing on the phone, man, see, I don't like the form factor of phones, so I don't really use them for much. I mean, I will text to respond to people or send things out like, hey, I'm on my way, or something like that. Okay, Keen Smith. Yeah, things are going pretty well with me. Do I say your name Keen? And I'm glad you could make the live show, man, although there's not much left to it. But, you know, I'll stay and do a little more just because I'm feeling kind of energized, and my back's been doing pretty good, so I think it'll take a little bit of extra time. Oh, there's the dogs. Or at least one of them is probably Leo. He's some kind of little terrier dachshund mix. Probably with, I don't know. He's a little mutt. He's a cute little thing, though. He's one of those dogs that, like, when you see him running, his legs look like they're little wheels because the way he runs, it's just, and he's because he's short, he's kind of got a bit of a structure of like a dachshund, but he's got this kind of blondish, wiry hair of a kind of a weird terrier type, you know. Anyway, he's a cute little screwball. 4.4, okay. Oh, wow. I hope you did. Well, you're here and chatting with us, Judith. So I'm assuming that you're okay, right? Was there any damage or anything? I hope it was just scary and nothing harder than that. Tim, I can function on I don't know, maybe as little as even 5.5 hours sleep or something like that, but not for days in a row. You know what I mean? Like if something happens and I get, you know, woke up early, or I can't get to bed until late, but I still, you know, having some kind of obligation where I have to get up early still, I can function. I don't like it. I can notice that my mental acuity is less sharp when I don't have enough sleep, but I can function. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the short answer to it. Keen, yeah, it was very, very difficult. I went through a program when I was, the healthcare I had at the time was Kaiser because of the job I had. And they had a program that was the CDRP, the Chemical Dependency Recovery Program. And it was a month-long thing, but it wasn't It wasn't one of those things like you see in that movie 28 Days or something like that, right? I didn't stay there. It was like an outpatient thing. But you showed up early in the morning and you were there all day. It was like going to work or school or something, you know what I mean? And we had to be there if you're going to do the program. So I did the program, and I haven't drunk since. No, I've not seen the Black Narcissus movie. I am curious to, though, at some point. Yeah, I know, James, huh? I'm sorry that I got so animated about taking the questions and getting kind of, I think maybe I don't know, sometimes I think, well, whatever, I'll just let it be. Just let it be. You know, I'll tell it again just because I like the story, the thing about the two monks and the lady, where they come to the creek, and the one monk gives the lady, a ride across on his back to get her across the creek so that, she doesn't get wet and muddy and all that. And then later on, the one monk turns to the other monk and says, "Hey, dude, you're not supposed to have interaction with women like that. You picked her up and all of that." And then the other guy says, "Yeah, but I put her down back there. Why are you still carrying her?" I mean, that was a really quick and badly told version of it, but I've told it enough, so I think you guys have probably heard it, Did I ever consider joining the military? No, not really. Mostly because when I was in junior high, I heard this song on the radio called Purple Haze by a guy named Jimi Hendrix, and my life was forever changed. It was like I had to be a guitarist after I heard that, you know what I mean? It was just, that's all there was to it. Yeah, so the military never came. Well, he did serve in the military too, but he was a paratrooper during the Vietnam era. Although he injured himself and then got transferred to the band, I think he got injured on purpose. I think it was on a jump, I think, if I remember correctly. I might be remembering this all wrong too, but no, I've never considered joining the military. I don't have anything against the military. Both my grandfathers were in World War II. My dad's dad served over in the Philippines, and my mom's dad was a submariner in the Pacific Theater. And he was the chief engineer. He was essentially Scotty for submarines. Well, for a submarine, I guess. I don't remember its name or anything like that. I'm not sure I ever knew the name of it, to be honest. He didn't like talking about the war. And my dad's dad died when I was like 3. So I barely remember him, to be honest. Thanks, James. Do you think WW3 is plausible, or do you mean possible? I kind of don't think it's going to happen, but I mean, if you mean World War III, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but I might be wrong. I hope I'm not. I have considered trying to figure out a way of doing ASMR with guitar. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. Not in any way that I feel comfortable with anyway, you know what I mean? I mean, if you're interested about my guitar playing, you should check out my music channel. It's called 3 Monks in a Tub. I tend to put the link in the description for it. And if I forgot to put it in the description for this stream, you could probably find it on one of my other videos. I try to remember to put it in all the time. I don't know, I'll give you guys I'll spoil the Easter egg, I suppose. But if any of you have actually watched any of my videos all the way to the end, you'll notice that there's an end screen with some credits in it, which is sort of it's an arty thing that I've done there. Because I have the end screen going with the credits, and the credits are for doing the end screen. You know what I mean? Well, it also includes the intro when I have an intro on, like the one with the kids kind of cheering one, and then the other one for a story time, which I'm going to leave the intros off for a while. I've had people complaining about them, so I find them amusing, which is why I did them. I thought it would be kind of cool to start an ASMR video with some lighthearted silliness. But some people just didn't, they didn't dig it. Have I met any famous people? Hang on. I think the only person that would count as a famous person that I met, and they're not terribly famous, is I met Ornette Coleman once. He was playing at a show in San Diego. Actually, it was in Solana. Is it Solana Beach is where it was? It's this place called the Belly Up. I think it's in Solana Beach. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Something seems wrong about that. Anyway, it's a fairly small venue, fairly intimate. If I remember right, it was right after he did the album Prime Time, but it wasn't the band, like it wasn't with Amaladine and Takuma and those guys. But it was a really good band. It included his son on drums and this guy on tabla, 2 bass players, 2 guitarists, and him. Anyway, afterwards, the members of the band came out because it was a bar sort of venue, and me and a friend of mine who we met there, we were hanging out. We were both super big fans of Ornette Coleman. Anyway, we got to hanging out with the guitarists, and it was really cool. It was good hanging out with them and talking about how they did things and what was going on, and what it's like to play with Ornette. And because he's the one that did the album called Free Jazz back in the 50s, so that gives you an idea of who he is. Anyway, he came out to talk to his guitarist, and then the guitarist said, "Hey, you should meet these blah blah." And so we got introduced to Ornette Coleman, and so I shook his hand, and I'm talking to him, and I became a burbling baby idiot. I was like, "Oh, it's so great to meet you, so great to meet you. I admire you so much." It's like I had an opportunity to actually have a meaningful conversation with one of the greatest musical minds of the century, in my opinion, and I just went, and my friend is standing there, and he's all shaking his hand, and he's going, "Man, you're like our dad," because we were playing in this band at the time that was very, very into the whole jamming and very influenced by Ornette Coleman's theory of harmonics and all of that. But we didn't explain that in any meaningful way and try to talk to him about the idea and the kind of shedding of the structure of chords and altering how you think about harmony and this sort of thing. And I didn't have that conversation with him because I went, "Nice to meet you." My friend goes, "You're like our dad, man." And I'm not sure he got what he was trying to say. I mean, he was trying to say that what we do is largely as a result because of him. He's affected us that deeply. And I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that's the only real kind of famous person I've ever met. I don't know. I can't think of anybody else. I don't think I've met anybody else famous. Okay, let's see. You have the greatest. Thank you. I appreciate that, Michael. Do I like LSD? Yeah. I don't know that I'll be taking it anymore because I spoke to, I'm not under psychiatric care anymore, but I did have a psychiatrist who was managing my meds for a while just to make sure that the pain meds and my psych meds didn't, that they worked well together. I talked to her, because I'm always honest with my doctors, and I talked to her about doing shrooms or LSD in the future, because it's something I'd like to do again, because I haven't done it in a little while. And she said she wouldn't recommend it. She didn't feel comfortable about it because there's not enough research, especially with the one drug I take is lamotrigine. And its initial why it was formulated was for anti-convulsions or something like that. But it seems to work well for people like me who have a mood disorder and other things as well that kind of fall under the bipolar umbrella. But so until I can either change meds or, I have no desire to change meds really. I mean, even if it means I can't take LSD anymore because I feel good about the meds I'm on. My head has been in the best place it's been in my entire life, frankly. Now I'm just trying to unlearn bad habits and kind of get my life back on track. Oh, thanks, Max. I'm very proud about that. Here's the thing, when you dig this, I kind of had an idea in mind of what I wanted to do, but thinking about a girl is entirely improvised in the moment. I didn't pre-write any of that. I just sort of made it up on the spot. I'm very proud of that. Yes, it is a Linux thing. I use Pop! OS. Yeah, I'm going to do my entire CD collection. I'm just going to do it a small stack at a time. Because I think I have 2 of them done now. 2 or 3. I think only 2 of them done now. Oops. I hope that wasn't too bad. I just bumped the mic. Yikes. Miles is the best. Yeah, I have a big. I like Miles Davis. You know, here's the funny thing: is I really, really like Miles Davis. I think I like Miles Davis even more than I like Ornette Coleman, to be honest. Just because some of the stuff, like, I don't know if you've ever heard this one called Jean-Ric. It's really great. It's fantastic. Or, well, I'd ban anything, you know, Freddie the Freeloader, you know, anything off of Bitches Brew. He's just insane. But Miles Davis thought that Ornette Coleman didn't know what he was doing. Thought he was fucked up. Which is funny to me, but well, whatever. I mean, that's his take, but on the Trump shooting, no, not really. I mean, as much as I dislike Trump, I don't really want to, you know, have harm come to him. I'm not, you know, I mean, he does make me angry, and there's times I've yelled at the TV screen in fits of anger that, somebody screw that guy, blah, blah, blah. You know, but the truth is, you know, cooler heads prevailing. I don't mean harm to him. I have a very frustrating thing. His mental capacity is obviously deteriorating in front of us. I mean, to me, it seems pretty obvious that that's a real thing happening. And it's frustrating to me because even though I don't like him and I don't like his politics and I think he's kind of a crappy human being, he is still a human being. And I'm looking at what he's doing and how it's working, and I'm looking at these people around him and like going, how is it that you guys aren't seeing that he gets care? Are you so concerned with, you know, hanging on to his coattails into the, you know, the halls of power that you're willing to let him destroy himself as a physical organism just so you can meet your own economic and political ends? It's just, my God, what is going on, man? Just really, what is going on? That's a good sound too. I like that. Wow, you know, I like Danny Trejo. I really enjoy him as an artist, as an actor. So how many of you guys like this thing on the end of the grain of this 2x4? No, is that yeah, I guess it's a 2x4. Man, I do like that noise. I hope it comes across on the mic as good as it is in the room. I mean, these are decent mics, but they're not, you know, they're, what are they, AKG P420s, I think is the number on them. It's like the least expensive, almost in the realm of pro. I guess a lot of times what they use is the word prosumer. You know, I mean, they're invented for people like me with little project studios to be able to have a decent mic. I think they do a pretty good job. I mean, I'd like to have some, you know, like some manly preamps into, you know, like I don't know, an Aurora sort of converter, and, you know, use AKG 414s instead of these 420s, but, you know, I don't have the money for that. That's crazy. I mean, there's some of the manly preamps are like $5,000, you know what I mean? It's crazy. But, you know, maybe someday, right? Okay, let's go back to the cup tapping then. That's a very popular thing. Oh, and I haven't done any bubble wrap either. Holy mackerel. Let's do some tapping on the bar jar, and then I'll do some bubble wrap, and then maybe I'll finish up with a little bit more of the 2x4, and then we'll call it a night. You know, I like it when I do it really fast like that, but sometimes what do you guys think? Like that? Or or maybe a mixture. Do I like the Olympics? I like the concept of the Olympics, and sometimes I enjoy watching them. I didn't really watch much this year. But, there's going to be a bunch of it on YouTube, so I'll be able to go watch it in, kind of on-demand replay manner. I'm curious to see, what's her name? Femke Bowles. I did watch a clip of that one race where she was the relay, where she came back from behind and won it for the Netherlands. I've seen her run in a few different events over the last year. Because, I kind of every once in a while watch some track and field stuff. She's very impressive. Okay, a couple hundred more streams. Yeah, there you go, James. Well, I think I've told you guys my fantasy, right, is to eventually build up, a fan base that between my 3 channels will be like 1 million people, right? And then if 10% of that 1 million people are willing to give me $1 a year, that's $100,000 a year, right? There's the fantasy. Because that way I could live a really nice lifestyle and help my dad and my sister, and it wouldn't be that much of a burden on any, single individual, right? A buck each from, people who think that what I do is worth $1 a year, I think that's a fantastic idea. So there's my fantasy. But I got to get, I got to build up the following, man. So get the word out. Tell your friends. Okay, anyway, so here we go. Wow, Toby Keith in a Hobby Lobby. That's crazy. I guess people go where people go, right? You know what I mean? It's funny how we get surprised when we see people out of their context. You know what I mean? What's wrong with your phone, Ryan? Ray gun, I don't get the reference. Thank you, Keen. Thanks, Max. I appreciate you guys. I know I don't have the biggest, subscription count. It's like I said before, 29,000. And of course I would like it to get it bigger because, if I'm trying to turn this into something that I can, rely on being a content creator as a human for my, how I materially care for myself. But the people, well, at least people that I, seem to attract and come here on the live stream and stuff like that. I think you guys are, I know a lot of YouTubers say this, I have the best fans, but, for example, a long, long time ago, I think I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I'm going to be doing that, right? I'm a middle-aged old man, or middle-aged becoming old. But on an early video, somebody came on in the comment section and basically accused me of being a pedophile. I was like, what in the world? Where did that come from? And I didn't even know how to respond to it. So I didn't for a few days because I was just like, how do I respond to that? That's just so ridiculous. And it's just such a negative thing to say to and about somebody. That's like, what in the world, man? Why would you do that? Anyway, so while I was trying to figure out the best way to respond, I finally went back to the thing and I was going to go to the comment section and do that. And I didn't need to because you guys jumped on them and, took care of it for me. And that's happened here. I've had trolls here. And then you guys respond. It's like, I don't even have to do anything, You guys are, have my back in such a good way that it makes me feel groovy, I think we've got kind of a cool... I know I've only been doing this live stream for a short time, but it seems like we're having kind of a cool little group of people that, I don't know. I appreciate it. And it's good for me. So, I try to, I hope it's good for you guys too. It seems like it is. You guys, I have a really, really good like to dislike ratio. Like almost all my videos are like in the 90% and even like, close to 100% as far as likes versus dislikes. And it makes me happy that I reach people that dig what I'm doing, I just have to figure out how to reach the rest of you. I'm sure there's a million of you out there. I mean, there's what? Have we crossed 8 billion yet on the planet? Or are we still 7 billion something? You know, I might do that, Tim. I mean, so far it hasn't been anything that I think is terribly necessary. But as the live streams grow, that probably will be a thing, and I'll probably I'll probably remember this and say, "Hey Tim, remember when?" Oh, I missed something here. What? Okay, all right. I did miss several comments. Oh, I didn't know that Toby Keith was from Oklahoma. Oh, good. That's good to hear, James. Because my stuff keeps kind of going up and down, and yeah, well, whatever. I'm just going to do what I do. That's what I can do. I just try to get better at making the videos that I make. And right now I'm trying to do one a week on Wednesdays. Although this week I didn't get it out till Thursday, but and then every other weekend I do the live stream, and then I want to put out another video on every other weekend too. So on the weekends I don't do live streams. I want to put out a video. That's my plan. My plan is I'm trying to get my time around so that I can do most of the filming for ASMR videos kind of in a few days, like just do filming, you know what I mean? And then take some time to do just editing and then put them up and schedule them to be released. And then I can put time into my other two channels and kind of get this sort of cycle going, you know? I don't know. My hope is that if I can get that all down and make it work properly, that I'll be able to build up a sufficient following that this will work, you know? We'll see what happens. Okay, where are we at now? Could be user error. That's funny. Have I been in the Bay Area my whole life? No. I have bounced back and forth between the San Diego area and the Bay Area. And I spent some minuscule amount of time over in the Netherlands. I was there twice for 3 months at a time, both times. And then on the second one, I ended up spending a fair amount of time in the UK afterwards. Well, it just went sideways between me and the guy I was working for over there. Yeah, it was a weird thing. I mean, I think I've talked about it before. I don't want to go into it tonight just because I don't feel like it. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, but mostly I've been in California. Either San Diego or here, the Bay Area. I mean, as far as California goes, my favorite place to live is San Francisco. If I could afford to live there, I would do that. Although right now, maybe not, because there's situations going on here about the household and whatnot. And with my dad, he's aging and all of that. And so it's good that I'm home at the moment. But that might change, who knows. Do I like martial arts films? Yeah, some. One of my favorite movies of all time is House of the Flying Daggers. That's amazing, man. And I like Hero and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like there's this whole collection of movies that are kind of in that style and thing. You know, I think they're mostly out of Hong Kong, if I remember. But yeah, I like those a lot. And I like some Jackie Chan films. Oh, and there's a few films with Chow Yun-fat that I really enjoy too. Yeah, Oceanside's okay. Yeah, Ryan, that's kind of what I like to engender here, right? I like doing the ASMR thing because that's what my channel's about. But this is an opportunity for me to interact with you guys more effectively than just the comment section. You know what I mean? I feel like I can let myself be me, and then you guys can assess me, and we can interact as humans, and you know, maybe things can be cool, right? I mean, that's the whole point of it. So I'm glad you dig it, man. I really am. Yeah, aren't they, Tim? They're just fantastic movies. Yeah, yeah. That hard boiled. I really liked hard boiled. The killer's good too, though. Yeah. Wait, isn't he the one that's in that? What's that movie? It was released here in the States, and it's, oh man, it's like the something monk. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. I can't think of it, and I can't think. And I think the guy that's in it with him is the same guy that's in the rundown with um, what, Dwayne Johnson. Um, I think it's that same guy. And I think, oh, man, I might be conflate. I mean, I do that a lot where I conflate movies with each other, and then it's like people go, Bill, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, Sausalito has some cool stuff. Also, the boats up there are pretty groovy. I knew a lady that lived up there with her husband, and they lived on a houseboat. It was a pretty groovy scene. Bulletproof Monk. Yes, Tim, that's exactly it. Thank you. Oh, you know, Ryan, we were talking about Tarantino films earlier. Of the ones I've seen, I've enjoyed. I think he's a really good director. I think he understands film really well. Hey, Joe Daddy. Well, you're coming in on the tail end of the show. I mean, the timer's run out, but I've decided to hang out for a little extra just because it's been a good stream. So, and I didn't do much of the noise making stuff like this. No, wait. It's not bad. I always surprise myself with stuff like this because I was like, why, dude, haven't you done that before? Okay, let's do a little bit of bubble wrap. Do a little bit of the bubble wrap, crinkle, crinkle. Oh wait, what's that? Thing's in my way here now. What can I do to make that not be the case? Oh, Children of Men. Yes, I have seen that. That's a very powerful movie. Well, you don't have to run off, Joe Daddy. I'm going to be here for a few minutes. I really like these crinkly sounds too. Have you guys seen, Maria did a bunch of these crinkle shirt videos. Oh, I guess not a bunch, but like I think there's 3 of them. Oh, what's somebody upstairs? What's that about? Yikes. I don't know if that's coming through for you guys or not, but somebody sounds like they're playing one of their computer games or whatever, and they're getting boisterous. Well, good, Joe. You know? Don't worry, I'll let you know when I'm actually bailing. drink of water. And I guess I'll do a little bit with the brush, and then I'll finish up with some tappings on the wood again. And I think I'll end with the end grain thing. Although now that I've said that, I think I want to try one last thing. I want to try the brush on the end grain. See how that sounds. Brushing the mic. Brushing the mic. Brushing the mic. Brushing the mic. Let's do it this way. Brushing the mic. Brushing the mic over there, whispering over here. Right? It's so weird. It's like rubbing your head and patting your stomach at the same time. It's so strange. Part of it's like, okay, because I don't want to do it too hard on the mic, right? But we want to be over here and like nice and soft, right? Maybe do a little bit of whispering, yeah, like that. It's so weird and awkward. All right, yeah, let's do a little bit more of that. We'll talk about something over here. I don't know what the hell. Those damn kids with their games, yeah. Is there a really famous, successful actor that most people like, but you can't stand? I don't know if I would say can't stand, but the person that probably best fits that description is Tom Cruise. Just mostly because I just don't see it. I mean, Jerry Maguire was okay, and I think he did incredible fine. I mean, I enjoyed watching it, but I don't think he's as great as what everybody else thinks. Really, I mean, that's what yeah. And he also is just kind of weird. You know what I mean? I think that might even be part of it. Maybe it clouds my judgment just because, when I see him outside of the context of being an actor, he just seems like, I don't know. I'm not sure what to think of him. You know what I mean? He confuses me, I suppose. But I don't think he's really that great of an actor. He's committed, I'll give him that. I mean, wanting to do his own stunts and all that stuff. And, I mean, he does the work. I mean, it's not a problem of that. So it's like, it's not a matter of, like in a musician sort of thing, like it's, you would say whether or not somebody's level of musicianship sucked or not. I'm not trying to say that he doesn't have chops, I guess, in a technical sense, in a matter of commitment. I just don't, the result of his portrayals don't really impact me as deeply as, say some other actors. I'm trying to think, is there somebody else that I just don't like? Well, oddly enough, it's funny because I didn't like his politics either. But I thought that Ronald Reagan was pretty stiff. I mean, the best thing I can think of on the top of my head where he did, the most credible job he did that I can think of now is The Killers, which was with Angie Dickinson and Lee Marvin, and I can't think of the other guy. That's a pretty decent movie, though. It's kind of noirish, you know what I mean? I guess it's noir, but yeah. I haven't seen that in a gazillion years. Brushing the mic, brushing the mic. Do. Brushing the mic. Do. Brushing the mic. Do. Brushing the mic. Brushing the mic. Oops. Here we go. All right, let's do the wood for a bit. Oh, have I missed any comments here? It seems like it. Hey, Philip. I'm okay. Wow, that's a great thing, man. I'm glad you saw the show and had a good time, man. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's the thing, right? When stuff is that good, in the moment it's fine and you're groovy and it's all great. But then when it comes to an end and you look at it because you were so enthralled, it's like, wait, what happened? Why is it over? Do I still watch DVDs and Blu-rays? Um, I've switched over to streaming mostly because I don't have a device anymore, and the computer I have doesn't have an optical drive. Um, I don't know, perhaps I should get some kind of external drive where I could do that, because I have some CDs and DVDs, or DVDs, and do I have any Blu-rays? I might, because I did have a Blu-ray player. I wonder if that still exists somewhere. It might have got put in storage. Hmm. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, no, I mostly just stream stuff lately. I'm glad, Ryan. Thank you. Thanks, Joe Daddy. Being compared to Bob Ross is pretty high praise indeed. Yeah, back in the day, oh, this would be what, 90s, I guess? Maybe even late 80s. I don't know. When did he start doing it? I think he started doing it like in the mid 80s or something like that. Or maybe even as late as early as the 70s, possibly. When did he start? I don't remember, but it seems like he's always been there, you know what I mean? But my involvement with him was probably at its most intense, like during that time period I'm referencing, like the late 80s, early 90s. And my wife and I shared this house with these other two guys where it was this old Victorian house, and it was such that we kind of had the downstairs and they had the upstairs kind of thing. We shared the kitchen, but you know, like bathroom and basic, you know, living area, that kind of thing was sort of divided upstairs, downstairs. Like they had their own bathroom, we had our own bathroom, that kind of thing. But anyway, I used to zone out to Bob Ross, you know, doing the ASMR thing, although nobody called it ASMR back then, right? And I didn't think anybody else did ASMR. I thought it was just unique to me, you know what I mean? I just figured it was part of my own eccentric existence. But I would chill out and just be tingling like a just screwball, you know what I mean? I mean, sometimes he was so successful at giving me tingles or whatever, it's like it must have appeared to somebody else like I was a drug addict, you know what I mean? Just like, oh man, that's so good, you know? Oh man. And the people would just be like, dude, why do you watch that guy? You don't paint, you just sit there watching him, and you're just, sometimes your eyes are closed. What are you doing, man? It's just like, dude, it's his voice. I like just, it was funny. They would tease me about it, but you know, whatever. That's fine. Tease me. I don't care. I'm getting tingles, man. Literally over in a blink of an eye, yeah. Yeah, he was a groovy guy, man. I was married for, I guess, about 7 years. I mean, from the time we started dating to the time we got divorced was like 10 years. And we dated for, let's see, I met her in 83. I guess it was like 11 years then, because we met in 83 and the divorce was final in 94. And we were married in 86, so, and we separated in 92. So I guess we were married and cohabitating for 6 years. But then we were married technically for another year. We didn't live together, and I didn't fight her on the divorce. At first I did, because you know, I thought, let's go to get counseling, let's do it. But it was clear she just didn't, I don't know, what, I don't want to go into it. It's just a bad thing. But I was, and it's a lot of it was my fault, frankly. No, I didn't beat her or cheat on her or anything like that. I was a fucking blackout drunk, and I was a lousy husband. Yeah, I mean, there's that story. You know, I've thought about trying to do a painting video, and I think I might. I just have to work out where I'll do it. You know what I mean? because this space, I mean, that I do here, and I put this sheet up over the shelves, whatever, just because I don't want, people looking at my mess on the shelves. Um, but this room is mostly set up and optimized for me to be able to record music in it, right? But it's that the cool thing is, hey, wow, decent mics and a room that sounds okay works for ASMR too. You know what I mean? So as far as output, most everything I put out is for my ASMR channel, and I have a bunch of stuff that I've been working on, but none of it is to the degree that I am happy with it. So. Huh, that's funny, Jim. Wow, that's cool. You can chill with your kids over Bob Ross. That's great. Do your kids do ASMR as well? Or is it just a relaxation thing? Or do you get the tingles with your kids, man? That's a really good sound, I think. Actually, let's do it this way. This is a good sound on the other side, too. Right? It does a little bit of a different thing when you're on the back side of it. Right on, Joe. All right on. Do I ever have regrets about not having kids? Um, well, when we were married, we didn't want to have kids. So, and then, yeah, no, I think it's a good thing that I didn't have kids, mostly just because for a large part of my adult life, I was a super dysfunctional, blackout drunk. You know what I mean? And that would be a lousy way to be a father. Um, if I couldn't be a decent husband, I doubt I'd be a good father. Yeah, absolutely, James. Yeah, yeah. Start with Bob Ross, man. He just makes painting seem like a doable thing, right? I mean, the stuff he does, it's not like it's, in the same sort of art and in its approach and trajectory or even intent as something like, say, Picasso or something like that. But it still is, it's a valuable thing, culturally, I think. Um, but the thing about it is he makes it seem, uh, well, doable. It makes it accessible. It makes it be like, so that, now, if you want to paint, paint, man, here, get a canvas, let me show you what to do. And he gets you started. What you decide to do with it is your own thing, right? And he emphasizes that, right? You need to learn, I'm going to give you some advice and get you started, but, you gotta, do your own thing, man, and see where it takes you. I mean, it might be that you just do figurative landscapes and stuff like that, or maybe you start doing weird stuff, or who knows, right? But he gives people a space and an approach that makes it, approachable, accessible, understandable. I understand what he's saying about him being the McDonald's of art because what he's doing is fairly, um, it's not as intellectually challenging as, say, something like Picasso, right? Let's just use a, super popular thing that everybody knows about. Um, And so I could see that, but I don't know if I think McDonald's is quite the right thing, although, yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Making those kinds of comparisons is weird because they're just comparisons for making a point, I suppose. Um, but art, to my mind, art is a pretty broad category because I tend to look at the world largely, well, like I said before, sciencey sort of thing, but sort of, junior anthropologist, newbie, 'cause I mean, I only taken a couple of courses that would fall under the, I took one, a cultural anthropology course, and I took a anthropological linguistics type thing at San Francisco State. Um, but totally affected how I think of the world in that regard, right? So art is it's objects that serve various functions, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And so there's different values or different types of art or different categories of it, right? I mean, because we're describing stuff, right? We're putting it in categories so that it can make sense to us. But there's some stuff that's going to be like the Picassos and the Rothkos and the, what's his name? Oh man, the guy that pissed in the Guggenheim's fireplace or whatever. Pollock, Jackson Pollock. Or for that matter, even Warhol. I mean, he was a pretty important guy. I know he's a screwball and a half, but, he was an important guy. And I really like Francis Bacon a lot. I mean, some of the stuff that he did with the guy Dyer, what was it, George Dyer? That doesn't sound right. I think it was a guy that he either lived with or was one of his lovers or something like that. I can't remember. God, I should remember this stuff. Anyway, let me catch up on the comments here. I've seen a couple of documentaries on Bob Ross. I was surprised to find out that he was a drill sergeant for a bit of time. He just seems so chill. It's hard for me to imagine him, doing, because they have to do this whole thing about well, it's a psychological thing, the way that the drill sergeants do the thing, and the idea is to kind of break you down so that you can be malleable to be kind of molded into the command structure, right? I mean, and so sometimes they get, like in their face and stuff like that, right? That's just weird for that guy to be that, a drill sergeant, Yeah, exactly, Ryan. I totally agree with that, right? I mean, look, there's a place for, highfalutin, fine art, high art, whatever you want to call it. But there's also a place for people to just make stuff that they're going to hang on their wall. You know what I mean? But the fact that, like I said before, and as you say, I mean, he gets so many people into a thing that they can be creative, whether they take it up as a hobby or they take it up as a vocation, or it doesn't matter. He's giving them the opportunity to take up a creative thing to do. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Absolutely beautiful thing. Well, I think some people have a brain that makes it easier for them, Emily, but I don't know. I mean, maybe if you had the right teacher or the right approach or something, you might be able to, improve, I think a lot of things like that are learnable. It's just you have to find the approach that works for you, maybe. Or, it could be maybe I have my head up my ass and maybe it's, some people just don't do it. I don't know. What's a ridiculous thing to say, Max? What do I think of McDonald's food? It's junk food, right? You know what I mean? But I have to admit, there are times I like a Big Mac. You know what I mean? There's just, I mean, I think it largely goes back to my childhood. It's like, because when you're a kid, oh, I want cheeseburgers, you know what I mean? So whether it was from Jack in the Box or McDonald's or whatever, right, So from that kind of cheap, kind of nostalgic, kind of junk foody way, I can enjoy it, but yeah. To be honest, if I want to do a burger, I'd rather do In-N-Out. Thanks, Maddie. Yeah, we all do, don't we? You know, and the thing is that we all understand the world from our own perspective. So sometimes when somebody does something that's kind of not inside of our perspective, right? It's, you know, hard for us to get our heads around, right? That's just, you know, the way it is to be a human, right? Unfortunately. Um, but, well, you know, I think you know my take on things is humans should help humans, right? You know what I mean? I think everybody has the potential to be creative in at least some manner. It's just whether or not we have a society that will allow them the room to be able to explore those things. Yeah, you're right, Max. I mean, natural talent just means that, you know, you're starting out a little ahead of the people in a sense, right? Um, oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean, Max. Right. Yeah, you know, I mean, yeah, well, any, you know, whatever, those kinds of comparisons are silly, aren't they? You know what I mean? If you're, you know, yeah, Tim, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah, isn't this tapping sound good, Michael? This is really good, huh? All right, I'm going to do some brushing on the end grain. Well, here, let me do it with my hand first, and then I'll do the brush. And then I'm going to have to call it quits. This is like already over 2 hours, so, you know. But I have, well, I guess I'll have to check the box about casual references to drug use, which I guess I should anyway, because we already had the LSD thing. But I think I have a half a joint somewhere here that I'm going to, as soon as this is over, I'm going to go have that and then sit on my recliner with the vibrator to preemptively relax my back, right? See, the things I do for you guys, staying up late. Am I still getting up at 6 a.m.? You know, I might. You know, I probably will actually. And then if I'm tired, well, here's the thing. Sometimes if I don't get enough sleep, I'll just take a nap later. You know what I mean? When I get the time or I can squeeze it in, you know? I like this sound a lot too. Okay, let's try it with the brush. I'm really curious to see how this is going to go. Ooh, I like that. I have to keep from poking on the shock absorber. I don't know, is that... Oops. Is that coming across okay, volume-wise? It seems quiet. I like it, though. What do you guys think? I like that sound a lot. That's very groovy. Yippee-yi-yay, man. Okay, let's see about the comments here. Yeah, the only thing I ever smoke would be cannabis. And when I can afford it, I actually prefer to get the vapey things, but um, it's cheaper to buy a pre-roll, you know. And I try to keep my consumption of cannabis down because partially, sometimes a bad byproduct of using cannabis for me is that it screws with my impulse control. And so if I have a certain amount of weed, like say I buy a certain amount of weed, and I'm going to go, okay, this would be enough weed for me for the month, kind of thing, right? If I have a bunch of money, I'll just buy, you know, whatever I buy. I can't really do that though, because what happens is I'll get stoned and then I'll go, well, I'm going to smoke more, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, dude, and then I wake up the next day and I go, because after a certain level, it's like, it's not really helping you be more enjoyable, right? It's just, you're just burning up the weed, you know? And so that kind of frustrates me. But the other thing is the impulse control thing is that I indulge my sweet tooth too much. I mean, to the place where I end up upsetting my stomach, and it's just like, dude, what are you doing? You know? So I need to be mindful of, you know, don't get, yeah, just kind of keep it into a reasonable thing, you know what I'm saying? So I tend to just try to, buy a couple of pre-rolls a month or something like that and leave it at that. Oops, sorry about that. Although I think at some point I want to buy one of those vaporizer things where you put flour into it and it doesn't actually burn it. It just heats it to the place that the volatiles can escape the plant material. And THC is something that becomes volatile way lower temperature than would be combustion. So you can get the stuff without the carcinogens, right? And that's the whole point, right? When you smoke, the reason smoking is bad for you is because of, the tar and the ash and all that crap with the carcinogens in it, right? Okay, I think I'm going to have to start, let's do the last few bits of comments here, and then I'm going to call it a night. So I'll give it a couple of seconds here to because there's always a delay. So I'll, so if you have any last minute questions, now is the time to get them in, and then I'm going to call it a night. Yeah, I know what you mean, Ryan. But the thing is, I like to believe that, well, I'd like to say that all humans are redeemable and from whatever bad behaviors that we do. But I also know that models that rely on absolutes don't work. So how about we just say that most people are redeemable from their bad deeds or self-destructive deeds and all of that. So, yeah. Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you, James, but being as broke as I am, having $40 to lay down for the vape thing sometimes is just more than I've got. And I can get, like a $5 joint, I suppose what I could do is just not buy the $5 joint and just wait and save up the money and then get the $40 thing. I suppose that would be the smart thing to do, but maybe that's what I should start doing, yeah. Okay, Tim, you should go get some sleep, man. All right, you better get those questions in, Tim. I don't know whether you should use the equipment I have, man, because the equipment well, except for the audio equipment, that's pretty decent. I mean, it's not super pro, but it's, actually pretty good. But as far as the video stuff, I've got a cheap Logitech camera, and the other cameras I use are, do I have one out, or did I put them away? Oh, wait, hang on, give me one quick sec. I do have one out. So when I'm not doing stuff with the webcam, what I use is this little Minolta thing. It's just like a little, it doesn't have the battery in it now because I don't keep the batteries in it when I'm not using it. But, it's one of these, where you open the thing, whatever, right? It does a job. It's not fantastic or anything. And I know very little about video stuff, right? I mean, I know a fair amount about musical stuff because I've been a musician since I was like 16, I guess. I guess I started playing acoustic guitar when I was 15. I got an electric guitar when I was 16. And then I did spend some time in the, I guess, the mid-90s. I actually worked in a recording studio for a little while. It was a small place, you know what I mean? But, it was all right. I learned a lot of stuff. But, yeah. But, I would, I don't know. Maybe I'm not the best person to ask about advice for video cameras and things like that. But, here's the thing. I started off with a crappy little laptop, too. You know what I mean? Just start making ASMR with what you've got, do the best you can, and you will grow, right? I mean, that's what I did. I think that's what we all do, right? Yeah, here's my Bob Ross approach to doing ASMR, man. Just get a camera and start talking into a microphone in a soft, calm manner, and, maybe record yourself a few times and watch it back and, see what you think, and then put it up on YouTube. And if you do, let me know, man. I'll come and do a reaction video or something or whatever and tell people about it. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to ask you, do I ever get close to getting married again after? No. Yeah, no, I had a string of pretty just crappy relationships. I had a couple that were okay, but the ones that were okay were pretty much understood to be temporary. You know what I mean? Like neither of us were looking for a permanent married type thing. We were just doing a thing, those seemed to work okay for a minute. But otherwise, I have been a pretty dysfunctional guy when it comes to sexual and romantic relationships. And I'm celibate now. I have been for more than a decade. And it's not like, it's part of my religion, you know what I mean? But my religion is my own making. So it's not like a rule I have to obey. It's just a matter of choice that I make about my own behavior. The kind of smart-ass remark I like to make about it is I stopped inflicting myself upon women. Right, right. Am I a fan of aquariums? Yeah, I am. I've had some friends that had them, and I'm always a little jealous about it because they seem really beautiful. But the truth is I'm not going to get one because, you know, the fish would be dead in a week. You know what I mean? I'm really bad when it comes to that stuff. Like I don't keep pets, because I just get. There's part of my personality is a bit like an absent-minded professor. That's why it's so hard for me to manage time well. I get, weird things get my attention, and it's like, no, dude, stay on task, man. You know, I get very flighty at times. And over the course of my life, I've also been, pretty irresponsible. You know what I mean? So I suppose I could keep pets now if I wanted to, because I'm a little bit more calm and, whatever. But now it would be a matter of, I can't afford to feed a dog. You know what I mean? And frankly, I don't need to. Let's see, we have, my sister has 2 dogs. Zoe, her daughter, has 1 dog. Jarell, who lives with us, has 2 dogs. So that's 5. And then my dad and my nephew, between them, kind of co-own these 2 pit bulls. So there we go. We've got the 7 dogs, I guess. I feel like I'm missing somebody. I guess that's it. Those 2, that one, those 2. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, I guess, is what it is, right? So those 2, that one, those 2 is 5. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, it's 7. All right, what am I thinking? Anyway. Yeah, I know what you mean, Ryan. That's a good, the deer and the berries, that's a good man. I like that. Sure thing, Michael. I wish I could be more help. Yeah, go for it, James. Okay, this is it, the very last call for questions, and then I'm going to say goodnight. Oh, actually, I just inserted an ad. I didn't catch the thing, so I'll wait for that to be done. Yeah, I like hanging out with the dogs. I go out and play with them upstairs. I mean, it's funny because I don't own any of the dogs, but I'm the only one that gets on the floor with them. You know what I mean? Everybody else is like, they'll pet them and they'll have them up on their lap and stuff like that, but they don't, actually get on the floor with them, and, and so all the dogs really like me. They all really, really like me. Oh, right, we haven't done the next stream. Okay, so I'm not going to do the dice and coin thing anymore, just because it didn't seem to be working to my satisfaction. Um, so let's just decide now among us. It's going to be, let me look at the calendar real quick here. Da, da, da. So this is 17th, 18th, so 24th, 25th. It'll be the weekend of either the 31st or the 1st. So do we want it Saturday or do we want it Sunday? Right? Everybody vote now. Saturday or Sunday. And next we'll decide on time. Right? See, there's, wow, 40 of you. That's the biggest number I've had. Wow, wait a minute. According to this, holy mackerel. I got over 45 a couple of times here today. Wow, this is really cool. That excites me. I wasn't paying attention to the graph, so. Okay, so Michael says Saturday, Max says Saturday. Is Saturday the consensus? Chime in, man. Okay, Saturday, Saturday, Saturday. Saturday. Okay, here, everybody's saying Saturday. Let me pause you guys for a second. Does anybody want Sunday at all? Because it's looking like I'm just going to say Saturday. So, going once, going twice, going 3 times. I'll wait till it catches up with the delay there, and then if nobody says Sunday between now and then, I'm going to say that it's okay. Okay, Saturday it is. So it will be Saturday. Let me make the note of this on my little... Let me go get the text editor, because that's where I keep my stuff for this. Come on, you idiot. And let me open. I want... Where is it at? Okay, here we go. Live stream 1. Okay. So let's put this down here at the bottom. Okay, so it's going to be Saturday. What's the number on that? I think that's the 31st, right? Yeah, the 31st. So Saturday, August 31st. Oops. Okay. Now let's do a time. Okay, what time does everybody want? Do we want to do it like about this time? Do we want it earlier? Do we want it later? I mean, I don't really care. It could be, any hour of the day. Anything's fair game. 6 a.m., 3 a.m., 7 at night, 10 at night, I don't really care. I can adjust, my sleep schedule to accommodate one night. Oops, let's not put this there, because then I can't see the other thing. Okay, there we go. And I got something in my eye. How does that happen? I'm wearing my glasses. How does something get in my eye? Actually, I guess it's not actually my eye, but my eyelashes, but nonetheless. I had on my glasses. How does that happen? All right, Michael's saying 8, but where are you at, Michael? I don't remember. You're not in are you in California? I need to have it in either PST or, well, actually PDT, I guess, right? Because we're in daylight savings now. So I assume that's what you mean, Brian, right? Or UTC -7, I guess, is what we are, right? So Max, do you mean that time frame starting at 7, ending at 10, or do you, that's 3 hours, or do you mean any time starting in that? Okay, 10 works. Oh, do you think so? Who of you thinks that if I did 7, that would be the better time zone, time range? Okay, so maybe 7 my time? Is that what we're thinking works best? Because let's see, 7 my time is 10 on the East Coast. That makes it like the wee hours of the morning in Europe, but at least they can get the replay the next day. And I do get the occasional stray person who just happens to be around from, well, man, I occasionally get people like even from Australia, or a couple of times I've had people from Eastern Europe. Um, all right, Emily. Right, right, yeah, because it's already almost 1. Wow, I didn't realize we had gotten that far. Jeez. Okay, well, it is what it is. Okay, so I'm going to say, um, okay, you know what? I'm going to say, I hope this will, well, unless anybody has a huge vote of no, I'm going to say 7 p.m. August 31st. Right? Does that work for everybody? Just say yay or nay, and then if the nays win, we'll pick a different time. Otherwise, well, right now I'm going to put in 7 a.m. So let's go back over to here. Or excuse me, 7 p.m. What am I talking about? Holy mackerel. 7 p.m. Okay, Ryan's good with 7. Um, Michael's okay with 7. I'm sure James is going to be okay with 7 because he said he'd prefer it earlier. Looks like there's a few people who've already recommended 7. What about you, Tim? You said 8:30 before, but will 7 work? Okay, that's what it's going to be. The 31st at 7 p.m. And man, this was a good stream. I mean, it was long, but this was a good stream. Um, all right, yeah. This was a really good stream, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me. I had a really fantastic time. I hope it was good for you guys too. And aloha, siblings.